Thank you for coming to my channel, Compass Starlight. This is a second attempt, so there will be some splicing. But this is also a message in reference to the last video I made, in which I talked about my mom and my biological mom and pseudo mom, all of whom have their sun sign in Aquarius. And to me, they were very involved in the forming of my personal values and the designing of who I am. And that, of course, is particular to my astrological chart and probably theirs to some extent. But I think that really what I wanted to bring to attention has to do more with the time we are in. So right now we are in Aquarius season. The sun is in Aquarius, but also we have not only the sun in Aquarius, we have Mercury in Aquarius, we have Venus in Aquarius, we have Mars in Aquarius, we have Pluto in Aquarius, and then additionally Neptune in Aries. And that's a big move. It's going to be there for, I believe, 14 years. So this is a time, the time we're in is a time to break the structures that have been in place to make something new. And so personally, I'm seeing that reflected to some degree in those relationships with the moms, or at least in the past I've grown and come to a point where I feel like those lessons have been learned, and now is a new chapter of moving forward. But we are in a time to break the structures that have been in place to make way for something new. It's a time to individuate in order to improve the collective. And what this means is that there's a dismantling of rules, regulations, paradigms, structures, anything we've allowed to impose upon our belief systems. This marks an end to false power dynamics. That's a big deal. The dismantling of outdated constructs and a deep look at the architecture of power. This is a time where truth, identity, authenticity, autonomy, personal reinvention, and sovereignty come to the forefront. This is a look at the values of daily life. Yes, so this era will affect everyone. I had to make some notes because honestly the first video I made was a bit scattered and unfocused. There's a big impact on America, on relationships that all countries have, and also all personal relationships. Like, you're not going to get out of this energy unscathed. It is momentous for the US because this year will be the 250th birthday of the United States of America. And the US is tight and firm on boundaries, borders, protection. Of course, at what cost? But there is imbalance. And so when we're looking at, examining outdated constructs, this imbalance is something that's going to be hopefully worked out. With the momentum and excessive power to hold that structure in place, there's also a dichotomy toward uprising against that structure. We see this in United States politics, but we also see that with the individual. The marches, the rallies, etc. Bands and swaths of US citizens coming together to challenge the architecture of power as a way to embrace our rights and our personal autonomy, as well as humanity. We see North Americans coming together to rise up against the systems of power in place. And that holds true for for the vast community of Americans. And by this, I am referring to indigenous Native American people. And that covers quite a range. Indigenous people in Middle America will have a more difficult time in that uprising. Think those of Aztec heritage, Mexican culture, because of the way the boundaries are being enforced. But I'm seeing a surge of community bonding among the nations of Native Indigenous American people across North America, from the United States through Canada. We're seeing far more representation of Native people. I'm seeing a lot of Cherokee and Cree, but really I am little by little seeing more and more community strength among the collective nations. Like, there's support amongst each other, which is really beautiful to see this community bonding and sort of uprising, like it's their time. They are sovereign nations, and there is a difference between being an American citizen and being a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen, a United States citizen, is someone, is a, the jumbled. A United States citizen is someone who is enrolled or subscribed to the corporation of the United States. So an American citizen is an American, but not necessarily enrolled in that corporation. So I've heard people talk about expatriating themselves as United States citizens and repatriating themselves as American citizens, which is something you can do, but you have to follow a lot of rules. You have to adhere to certain standards, and if you make a misstep, it's like you automatically then are re-enrolled as a United States citizen somehow. I'm not really sure, but the bottom line is that it doesn't really hold up with legality. I think that people that try to expatriate themselves as United States citizens and repatriate themselves as American citizens would have a hard time, find it challenging to hold up their status legally. Like, the legality of it is hardly recognized, unless, of course, you are of Native descent, and then you are protected, yes, by your native sovereign nation. One people, and it's not one people, but Native Americans, indigenous people, they are sovereign outside of the United States. And that is protected. Well, it has been. And I could say it won't change, but, who knows if the government will try to change that. Nonetheless, I'm reflecting on the fact that 250 years ago, people came together and said, this is one nation, right? The United States of America. Displaced people, native people in their own land, and thought, yeah, we can make this work. What I am seeing is a very strong community of indigenous culture embracing itself and its strength and rising up. And I just want to say, like, if it's like an ironic joke that a group of people or a government, an entity, could think that they could repress something within it for so long without ever having it rise up. And I'm not suggesting that there will be a civil war among United States citizens and sovereign nations that are indigenous cultures. Not a war of bloodshed. I think we're beyond that. I don't think that that's something that would ever be enthusiastically called in again. But I want to say pay attention, because I believe it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in spirit, in values, in structures. And it may not happen for a while, but I really believe that we should be paying attention to the indigenous cultures of North America and what they're doing and how they're supporting each other, and just bringing the culture, the medicine, yes, to the forefront. And that medicine is so needed for this land, for this culture, and for the culture of the United States. But also, it is so needed for the world. And it is needed for the world because these paradigms and these structures are going to fall apart, and they're going to have to be new structures, and maybe not structures, but new values that are put in place instead, like a stronger substitution. Maybe it's a stronger community. But the rest of the world, like if something happens in the United States where we see this evolution, the rest of the world will also see that and reflect on how it impacts relationships people have with each other, relationships that people have with governance, relationships that power and authority have with each other, like rulers of different countries, and how they come together and how they resolve conflict or come together. I think is going to be really significant how it all evolves in time, in this time. It's going to be really interesting. There are so many people really fed up with the current administration or direction of the United States government and challenging the system currently in place. I want to say to those people, you should be paying attention to that which is uprising. I brought up Mexican people because they will have more of a challenge due to physical boundaries. It's going to be harder for them to transcend into this uprising associated with the United States because it's harder for them to transcend the physical borders. And I think that that's another reason why ice exists on a really nuanced, surreptitious level. Yes, they are in your face, but the impetus behind the massive momentum, it's oppression, subversion. It's a preemptive measure to subvert that element, that portion of people, of culture, into this movement that I foresee happening as time moves forward. Hopefully I made that message clear, or what I'm thinking. Hopefully I articulated well enough. So I also just thought that I could draw an animal spirit card on this message. I want to say, pay attention to the medicine. Pay attention to first card again. I get blank, but there is another. There are two others below it. Let's see. Blank. I thought I took them out this time. Pay attention to the medicine. Pay attention to the medicine that is being presented by indigenous culture right now, across the globe. It's really important. You will see song, you will see music, you will see dance, you will see vibration. And then there are parts that you won't see at all because it comes in prayer. But how can you honor that, and how can you foster that? How can you respect that? Listen, pay attention, consider how your own energy plays a part in that. And what I mean is, some of the dances have to do with the vibrations you're putting out with your body and your feet, right? Are you walking the talk when it comes to your own values? Because what you are, that vibration is coming through your feet as you walk. Are you living up to your own values? Are you living up to your own standards? Are you standing behind what you believe? Do you have a backbone and a spine to present yourself authentically into the world in alignment with your own belief system? At the bottom of the deck here we have Owl 21, and the two cards that fell out were Grouse 34 and Horse 35, which is nice because we're moving into the year of the horse, and the horse really has a strong vibration as it gallops. You hear it coming. It is pounding the earth, cracking the earth. Again, that I'm talking about vibration. But with the year of the horse, we're also going to be having swift movement forward into the new paradigm, and it's going to be unsettling. I'm actually filming from my camera right now, so yeah, go figure. I'm filming from my phone, otherwise I would look up the grouse, because a lot of the prairie dances of indigenous people are honoring the prairie chicken, but I'm not sure if the grouse is the same thing as the prairie chicken. It'd be pretty awesome if it was, and I might even put a note in the description once I look it up, or like I said, if I end up taking a couple pieces of video and putting them together. But that that's really significant if it is. Horse and grouse are two very important spirit animals for indigenous culture. We also have the owl at the bottom of the deck, right? This card is about knowledge. The owl is a raptor and has the ability to hone in on its subject, on what it wants. When they're hunting, they can easily identify a target and snatch it right up. For this message here, I am suggesting that the owl is a symbol. It's symbolizing the confidence and the skill to be able to snatch up your target, whether that's information or a plan. This is about taking what's yours, and rightfully so, without threat, because you know it's for you. So I'm going to leave this message here for the time being. Maybe I'll do another video later. I need to get out to work. Thank you for coming to my channel, Compass Starlight.